Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm here tonight at Snettisham Beach on the West Norfolk coast in East Anglia in the UK, and I've shot a beautiful old jetty on this beach before, back on Boxing Day evening actually this year, with Orion behind it. My objective tonight is to have more of an adventure really, so to spend some time on the beach at night, to camp on the beach. I say camp, I've got a sleeping bag, a roll mat, and there's a bird spotting hide a bit further down the beach, so I might be sort of squatting in there for the night. The idea is to shoot the Milky Way, perhaps a time lapse of the Milky Way rising, and some star trails over this old dilapidated jetty. So I've just arrived, the sun went down about an hour ago, got the last elements of blue hour just disappearing off there into the northwest. I'm just about to go down to where the jetty is. It's about a 5-10 minute walk from here, and then hopefully set up for the evening and enjoy doing some nightscaping. So let's head off. That is quite a heavy pack. Hoping behind me here you can see the outline of the old jetty. Hoping as well you can hear the amazing sounds you get in this place from the birds on the mud flats that stretch out here. It's an amazing noise. Planning to go out on the mud flats either side of the jetty here. The Milky Way will sort of rise in that direction. I'm almost behind the camera, so I should get quite a good angle, a nice composition on the jetty, both for the time lapse and also for the still shots I'm planning to do later on. And then in the other direction, which is kind of north that way, I'm hoping to get quite a nice simple wide angle star trail shot. It's looking like it's going to be pretty clear for most of the night, if not all of the night tonight. That's why I'm here. So that star trail shot should hopefully be a good few hours, maybe 3 or 4 hours of star trails, which should look really cool. So I'm going to do a bit more investigation, work out where I'm going to take these shots from, and then later on, probably 2:30 in the morning, something like that, after I've had a bit of sleep, we've then got about an hour and a half-ish before astronomical twilight begins and the sky starts to get a bit lighter. But the Milky Way should be, or Milky Way core should be nicely above the horizon at that point. So the plan, all being well, is I've got the star tracker with me, and I'll take some foreground shots on the other side of the jetty, lined up nicely with the Milky Way, and I'll do some stacked exposures of that. But then I'll bring the star tracker this side of the jetty off the mud flat, so I'm not at risk of falling over, and hopefully do a stacked, tracked Milky Way shot, and maybe, depending on how I'm getting on, maybe even an arch panorama as well. So that's the plan. I'm going to do some investigation now to see how that's going to go. Okay, so first shot of the night, or first sequence of shots of the night. I'm at the, I guess the sort of south west end of the jetty. The tide is out and should stay out for most of the night, which is great. And the purpose of this shot is some really simple star trails. I'm using the 14mm Samyang lens on my Canon 6D. I've already shot a foreground shot, a long exposure foreground shot, 2 minutes at ISO 800. For the star trail shots, I'm using 30-second exposures, which is just about the limit before you start to see star trailing in these individual images. And I use, rather than using a longer shot where you actually see trailing in the individual images, I tend to use shorter ones just in case I get an amazing meteor or something like that going straight through the image, and then I've got a nice standalone still image as well as a star trail shot. And potentially this might make a nice time lapse as well. So let's get this on the road. Got the next shot I think lined up. This will be another time lapse, so this is going to shoot hopefully for a few hours. I'm using the 24mm f1.4 Samyang lens, stop down to f2. Simple composition, very similar to the shot of Orion over this jetty that I took back on Boxing Day night last year. So I'm shooting with the Canon 6D. Again, I'm at 10-second exposures, ISO 6400. Probably have a 2-second interval on that to make it nice and smooth. I've stopped the lens down to f2, and that's about it really. Simple composition, hopefully will turn out quite nicely. I'll set up the intervalometer now. Okay, so now I have got those 2 time lapses going away. It's about 2 or 3 hours now, a couple of hours maybe, until I think the Milky Way core starts to rise. It's still a gorgeous evening out here. Venus is just beginning to think about setting over in the northwest, but I'm going to get a little bit of sleep for a couple of hours. So let's go and check it out, shall we? Okay, so hopefully about to settle down for a couple of hours. I've just checked the tide times out of complete paranoia in case I've messed things up, because the last thing I'd want is to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and find both my cameras underwater. So that's all good. It's ideal tonight, so we're in a good shape. So hopefully we'll get a couple of hours sleep now. See you at about 2:15. I really hope there aren't any spiders in here. Good morning, it's 2 AM. Managed to get a little bit of sleep. I thought the birds around here were meant to come to roost, and I thought roost meant sleep, but it kind of reminded me of if you've ever stayed on a sort of cheap campsite where there's lots of stag doos or stuff like that, and there's lots of noise at night, birds coming and going all night. It was quite remarkable. You can still hear them now, of course, but Milky Way core is up. I don't know if you can see that behind me. I'm not sure how well this camera will pick it up, but I can see Antares just above the bird hide there. I don't know if you can see that very orange star. So I'm about to return to the cameras, see how they're getting on, and then start setting up my main Milky Way shots for the evening or the morning. It's very still out here now. Great way to spend the night. So I've decided to start shooting the Milky Way arch panorama. I've come to the other side of the jetty to where the time lapse is. I'm shooting this with a 14mm Samyang. That's not ideal for doing panoramas because there's quite a lot of vignetting in that lens, and it can sometimes show up as dark streaks when you're stitching together the panorama afterwards. So I'm going to try and get quite a lot of overlap. I'm going to need to do 2 rows. I think I'm shooting in landscape orientation, and I imagine I'll probably need 4 frames, something like that, along 4 columns, maybe 5 columns to get enough overlap. We'll see. I'm going to start moving quickly though. So I'm shooting 20-second exposures, ISO 6400, and I'm going to shoot 4 frames, I think, for each shot, or 4 shots for each frame, so I can then stack them, and that will just help to reduce that noise a bit, given I'm shooting at ISO 6400. Okay, so it's onto my main Milky Way image, I think, of the evening, and that's a very simple shot, similar composition to my Orion shot, probably a little bit lower because I can get lower today. I'm shooting at 24mm, and I'm currently just doing what will be a stacked shot, and I think my ISO 6400 and 15 seconds exposure. I'll check that in a second, and then I'll do a long exposure for the foreground, make sure we've got that nice and clean, and then I'm going to take the camera gear to the other side of the jetty, set up the tracker, and then do a tracked Milky Way set of exposures, and that hopefully will allow me to pull a lot more detail out of the Milky Way for this shot as well, so I can hopefully compare and contrast a stacked shot and a tracked stacked shot. Right, next and final stage, let's get the tracker set up and get this Milky Way done. Alright, I think that's probably good enough. I think we just need to get this show on the road. I can dial the ISO back for this. I'm going to go to f2 and might try ISO 1600. I've not got much time to mess about with, so I think we'll give that a go, see how that comes out, and review things from there. Let's go. Now, this has actually been the first Milky Way night I've been able to have this year. In the UK it's been really challenging weather during suitable moon phases, and the couple of occasions where the weather has aligned and the moon has aligned, unfortunately life has got in the way, so it's been amazing to come out here tonight. People might think it's a bit odd, really, spending a weekday night out on a beach, a very muddy beach, getting not much sleep in the middle of nowhere. But just listen to those birds, listen to the sounds, and look at the sky above your head. And to be honest, it just makes me come alive, really. It's why I do this. But hopefully I'll get some good shots as well. That's kind of part of why I do this. Okay, well, that's a wrap. What a great night. Hopefully quite a productive one as well. I really needed tonight. It's been great. There's nothing like being out somewhere like this to de-stress. It was quite fun sleeping in that bird hide. Sleeping for a bit anyway. It was even better that no one else came along. It scared me. Been great to share the night with all these birds out here. No idea what they are. I think pink-footed geese, maybe. I don't know. I'm sure I read that somewhere in the hide. It's just been beautiful under the stars. It's been a spectacularly clear night. It's a new moon tonight as well. There must be astronomers across the country just really glad we've got a properly clear night, actually on the night of new moon. Hasn't happened very much this year, so I hope you've enjoyed that. I've really enjoyed myself, and hopefully those images have turned out nicely. You'll see them shortly. Let me know what you think.